Rachel had been waiting for Chelsea to arrive. She winced, doubling over in pain as another cramp seized her abdomen. "Chelsea, where are you? It's been over 2 hours since you said you'd be here." Frustrated, she picked up her phone and dialed Chelsea's number, but it was met with a monotonous voice. "The number you have dialed is not available at this moment. Please try again later." She tried again, but the same message echoed back, deepening her sense of unease. "Ugh, Chels, seriously? What happened to your phone? Where are you?" she muttered to herself, clutching her stomach while wincing at the pain. In a moment of desperation, Rachel decided to call her mother for some pain medication. The phone rang just once before her mother, Serena Hannigan, picked up. "Hey, princess. How are you?" "Mom, I'm not doing too well," Rachel admitted, struggling to keep the pain from seeping into her voice. "Can you please send someone to get me some pain relievers? It's that time of the month and it hurts so much. I'll send one of the maids over with some medication, okay? Make sure to drink lots of warm fluids and use a hot water bottle on your abdomen to help relieve the pain." Rachel and her mother spoke for a few more moments before ending the call. With the throbbing in her abdomen becoming increasingly unbearable, Rachel decided to lie down, hoping to drift off to sleep. The next day dawned, bright and peaceful. Friday, the day Chelsea was supposed to have her interview with the Whitemore Foundation. Rachel woke around 7:30, feeling much better as the cramps had subsided. She reached for her phone to call Chelsea but found it turned off. A pang of worry twisted in her stomach. "Why do I feel like Chelsea isn't okay?" she muttered to herself. Determined, she decided to call Chelsea's landline. When the line connected, Melinda answered in an unfriendly tone. "Who is this calling so early in the morning? Don't you realize others are still sleeping?" Rachel felt her irritation flare. Melinda had an uncanny ability to push her buttons. "Good morning, Melinda. Is Chelsea home? I need to speak with her." "Ah, it's you, Rachel. Only a crazy person would wake up this early and disturb others' beauty sleep. And for the record, I am not your dear Chelsea's keeper," Melinda scoffed. Lionel, overhearing the conversation, rushed into the living room and snatched the phone from his wife's grip. "Hi, Rach, it's Lionel. I heard you asking about Chelsea. Isn't she at your place? She left here yesterday saying she was bringing some ginger and honey tea over." Rachel's heart skipped a beat, panic rising swiftly. "What? Chelsea didn't sleep at home? Where is she? She called me yesterday around 4:30, saying she was coming over, but I haven't heard from her since." Lionel's face shifted from curiosity to panic. "If she didn't spend the night at yours, then where could she be? Is it possible she's at Ken's house?" "I don't think so," Rachel replied, a growing sense of dread coiling in her gut. "Ken never lets her spend the night. Let me call him to find out." Quickly, Rachel ended the call and dialed Ken's number, her heart racing. Through several rings, a male voice answered. "Hello, this is Mr. Roberts' secretary. He's unavailable to take calls at the moment. Can I take a message?" Rachel's frustration boiled over. "Excuse me, but I need to check if Miss Chelsea Powers is with Ken right now." "No, ma'am, Mr. Roberts has been in Turkey for the last 3 days. The secretary replied, nonchalant. Weakness washed over Rachel as the shocking revelation hit her. She crumpled onto the sofa in her bedroom, sweat beading on her forehead. "Oh my gosh. Where is Chelsea? I hope nothing bad has happened to her." She quickly called Lionel again. "Lenny, I just spoke with Ken's secretary. He's been in Turkey for 3 days, which means Chelsea isn't with him." "Damn it!" Lionel exclaimed, frustration bursting forth. "I'll have to report her missing to the police." When he called the authorities, he explained the situation, but the response he received was disheartening. "Sir, it hasn't been 24 hours since she was last seen. We recommend waiting before filing a missing persons report." Lionel's fists clenched in exasperation as he hung up abruptly. In that moment, Rachel called him back, demanding to know how things went with the police. They wouldn't take the report, he confessed grimly. What? Are they crazy? You know what, Lenny? Let me ask my parents and Jade for help. They'll find her, Rachel announced, determination igniting in her voice as she ended the call. She dialed her mom's number, her voice trembling with urgency. Mommy, please, I need your help. Chelsea is missing and we can't find her. Calm down, princess. I'll tell your dad and we'll contact Police Chief Logan Langford to find her, her mother reassured her. Ending that call, Rachel's phone rang again, revealing it was Jade calling. She quickly answered, relief washing over her as Jade's familiar voice came through the receiver. Hello, my love. I saw your message. Don't worry, I'll reach out to my friends to find her. Tears filled Rachel's eyes as she spoke, overwhelmed by concern. Thank you. I appreciate it so much, Jade. Once the call ended, Jade placed another call to his contact. Hey, Maurice, I need you to find someone as soon as possible. I don't care how you do it, but I need results in the next hour. I'll send you the details. In a dingy, deserted room, Chelsea sat terrified, tied to a chair with a black bag draped over her head. As confusion set in, she groaned, Where am I? Suddenly, the bag was ripped away, and the harsh light blinded her momentarily. When her eyes finally adjusted, fear gripped her as she surveyed her surroundings. Two men, rough-looking and menacing, stood near her. One held a knife, its blade gleaming ominously. If you don't shut up, I'll make sure to leave my mark on you, he threatened, his tone low and intimidating. Chelsea's heart raced as she struggled to suppress her panic. Who are you? What do you want from me? She cried, her voice trembling. Behave, and you won't get hurt. You'll be free to leave in a couple of hours, the other man said, his gaze lingering uncomfortably. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the first man leaning closer, a twisted grin spreading across his face. But if you don't obey, who knows what might happen? He taunted, his breath reeking of decay. Chelsea recoiled in disgust, tilting her head away from him as hot tears streamed down her cheeks. Please, just let me go, she begged, her voice muffled by her fear. Enough, the second man barked, pulling the first away from her. This isn't why we're here. Just leave her alone. Before they could argue further, the door crashed open, flooding the room with light as fully armed military personnel entered, eyes steely and intent. The two men never stood a chance. They were swiftly apprehended and dragged away. But the sudden turn of events was almost too much for Chelsea. As relief washed over her, the panic finally overwhelmed her senses and she spiraled into unconsciousness. When Chelsea regained consciousness, she found herself in a hospital bed, draped in a soft gown. Disoriented, she squinted against the bright lights overhead. Hey, Chels. You're finally awake. Rachel's voice broke through the haze, concern etched on her face as she leaned over her friend. Are you okay? Do you feel any pain? Recognition snapped back into focus, and Chelsea immediately threw her arms around Rachel, sobbing uncontrollably. Ratch, I was so scared, they both cried, clinging to each other for comfort. Once they pulled back, Rachel spoke gently. You're safe now. Those men will never hurt you again. But who were they? Why did they kidnap me? I'm not rich or famous, Chelsea mumbled, confusion swirling in her head. Rachel brushed Chelsea's hair back tenderly. They were hired to sabotage your interview with the Whitemore Foundation. When they were questioned, they said someone paid them £10,000 to kidnap you, only letting you go after 8 this morning. They didn't know who hired them, it was their first encounter. Shock painted Chelsea's face as tears streamed down her cheeks. Oh no, not the exchange program. Why do bad things always find me when I'm trying to reach for the light? She cried, her voice cracking in desperation. As Rachel embraced her once more, uncertainty loomed large. We'll figure this out, Chels. You're strong, together we'll get through this. What sinister forces were at play? Who wanted to derail Chelsea's dreams and why? The answers lay hidden in the shadows. Rachel and Chelsea broke their embrace, But the moment was fleeting as Rachel's heart clenched with guilt. She dropped her head, tears streaming down her face. Chels, I'm so sorry. This all happened because of me. If I hadn't told you I was having period cramps, you wouldn't have made that ginger tea to bring to my house. If you had just stayed home, you wouldn't have been kidnapped and you wouldn't have missed the interview with the Whitemore Foundation, she cried, her voice filled with anguish. Chelsea looked into her friend's eyes, a mixture of compassion and understanding in her gaze. Come on, sis. You know it's not your fault. You should never feel guilty about this, okay? Just then, Lionel rushed into the room, his face etched with worry. He enveloped Chelsea in a tight hug. Chels, thank God you're safe. I was terrified something terrible had happened to you. Chelsea gently patted her brother's back. Oh, Lenny, I'm fine. I wasn't harmed at all. I'll probably be going home either later today or tomorrow. They held each other for a moment before parting. Chelsea looked at them with curiosity. By the way, how did you guys find me? Rachel met her gaze, a hint of admiration in her eyes. It was Jade. Thanks to his connections, his friends were able to locate you. A smile broke across Chelsea's face. Oh, Jade. Even from afar, he still manages to help me. I'll have to thank him as soon as I get my phone back. The following day, Chelsea was discharged from the hospital and returned home. As she entered, she found Melinda sitting on the couch, her demeanor cold and detached. Melinda eyed Chelsea from head to toe without saying a word, returning to her phone screen. Chelsea chose silence, but Rachel couldn't hold back her frustration. Melinda, how can you not even feel a little something knowing Chelsea was kidnapped and could have been harmed? I can see the wickedness in you wouldn't let you act kindly. Who knows? Maybe you had an idea this was going to happen. Rachel shot Melinda a piercing glare, defiance coursing through her. Agitated, Melinda stood up. You listen to me. You're crazy. As much as I dislike Chelsea, I would never hurt anyone. Lionel, tired of the back and forth, interjected. Enough, both of you. Rachel, please take Chelsea to her room. Mel let it go. He left the room, heading to the nursery to check on Fiona. Once inside Chelsea's bedroom, she turned to Rachel, concern etched on her features. Rach, did you tell Ken what happened? I'm trying to call him, but I can't get through. Rachel's expression softened with pain. Sis, I don't think Ken still has feelings for you. He's been acting cold, probably hoping you'll end things. When you were kidnapped, I tried reaching him to see if you were with him. His secretary said he was busy on a business trip to Turkey. If he cared, he would have called back to check on you. Chelsea felt her heart sink, as if it had been pierced by 1,000 needles. Taking a deep breath, she said resolutely, I need to see Ken face to face. I need him to tell me it's over himself. Our 1-year anniversary is in 3 days, and I'll go to his house to find out the truth. Don't worry, Rach. I think I'm starting to realize Ken has changed. He's not the person I fell for anymore. But I need to hear it from him, Chelsea spoke with determination. Rachel squeezed Chelsea's hand gently and nodded, offering a warm smile. You've got this, sis. 2 days later, Chelsea sat in her room, pen poised over her journal, capturing her thoughts. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Come in, she called. Lionel walked in, his expression warm yet serious. Hey, Chels. Are you busy? She looked up, closing her journal and smiling. Not at all, bro. Do you need my help with something? Lionel took a seat beside her, his concern evident. No, I just wanted to check in on you. How are you feeling? Are you recovering? Chelsea nodded. I'm doing okay. I'd like to put all this behind me. Lionel's expression shifted slightly, almost pensive. I'm leaving for Bedworth tomorrow morning. Our hospital is sending a team of 8 to assist with the pandemic outbreak. I'll be gone for 2 weeks. I might be out of network, so you won't hear from me as often as usual. But I'll find a way to check in at least once a week, all right? Sure, Lenny. You can count on me. I'll take care of everything and everyone, she assured him. They embraced before Lionel left the room, his expression serious yet loving. The next day, Chelsea awoke early, determined to get her life back on track. She decided to go for a quick run to clear her head. Upon returning, she took a quick shower, reflecting on the significance of the day. It was her 1-year anniversary with Ken. With a mix of excitement and dread, she picked up her phone to call him, but there was no response. Not deterred, she decided to send him a text instead. Hey love, hope you're doing okay. I don't know if you remember, but today marks our 1-year anniversary. I know things have been rocky between us lately. Let's meet up to talk and fix whatever issues we have. The message indicated it had been delivered, but the silence lingered, heavy and oppressive. Chelsea kept glancing at her phone, anxiety gnawing at her as hours slipped by with no reply. Finally, after 2 painfully drawn-out hours, she made the decision to go to Ken's house. She took a bus to the Northern Ridges. Since it was a private neighborhood, she had no option but to walk over a mile from the nearest bus stop to Ken's villa. As she approached his house, she was taken aback by the sight of several cars parked in the drive. What could be going on? Why are there so many cars at Ken's home? Chelsea pondered, a tightening knot of anxiety forming in her stomach. She rang the doorbell and a maid, dressed in an impeccable uniform, opened the door. Upon seeing Chelsea, she smiled politely. Who are you, ma'am, and how can I help you? Hello. My name is Chelsea Powers, and I'm here to see my boyfriend, Ken, she replied, forcing a smile. The maid's expression shifted to one of confusion. I'm sorry, ma'am, but you might be at the wrong house. The person who lives here has a fiancé, and they're currently inside for their pre-wedding dinner with family and friends. Chelsea felt her stomach drop, a whirlwind of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. Biting back panic, she pushed past the maid and stepped into the living room. And there they were, Ken, surrounded by his entire family, and Helena Richards, elegantly anchored at his side. When Ken caught sight of her, his expression hardened. Chelsea, what are you doing here? Who let you in? Chelsea's heart raced. Just then, Helena leaned in closer, her demeanor dripping with condescension. Oh, darling, isn't this the lowlife girl we saw at Club Q a few weeks ago? Ken, what's going on? Chelsea stammered, bewildered. Before he could respond, Myra Roberts pushed forward, her smirk brimming with contempt. Did you honestly think my brother was going to marry you? Have you ever wondered why he never introduced you as his girlfriend or took you out in public? You really need to ask yourself why he only slept with you once. It was all revenge, a twisted game. Sleeping with you was never part of the plan, but when he realized you were a virgin, he couldn't resist. A wave of disbelief crashed over Chelsea, leaving her utterly speechless. Myra's words continued like venom. Remember 2 summers ago when you threw your slipper at our car and called us stupid capitalists? That was my brother and me inside. I vowed to find you and deal with you, and you made it all too easy. When Ken called me after running into you at the charity event, I told him to befriend you. And now, here we are. Flashback. Chelsea recalled that intense summer day vividly, walking home from the supermarket, waiting for the bus when a luxury car splashed murky water all over her. Frustrated and humiliated, she hurled her slipper at the car as it passed, yelling at the occupants inside. Didn't you see that you splashed dirty water on me? Don't you have a conscience? Are you just a stupid capitalist who tramples on the poor? But her shouts went unheard, and they drove off without a glance back. What would Chelsea do now that she had stumbled into a web of betrayal and manipulation? How could she possibly move forward after discovering she had been nothing more than a pawn in Ken and Myra's cruel game? The answers loomed ahead, hidden in a tangled web of deceit, and Chelsea was determined to untangle it all. Every nerve in her body screamed for answers, and as the pieces fell into place, Chelsea's resolve only grew stronger. She would reclaim her power and refuse to be a victim of circumstance any longer. Chelsea had been standing in the living room looking so lost. Tears streamed down her cheeks, breaking the dam she had desperately tried to hold back. Her legs felt as wobbly as jelly, threatening to give way beneath her. She sought Ken's gaze, pleading silently for him to deny the cruelty of reality. "Ken, please tell me this isn't true. Please tell me everything Myra said was a lie," she whispered, her voice trembling. The room was steeped in silence, heavy and oppressive. Felt so still that the sound of a pin dropping would reverberate like thunder. Ken's footsteps pierced the quiet as he moved closer, bending down to speak into her ear. "I'm sorry, Chelsea, but every good thing must come to an end." Turning away, he walked off, leaving a chasm of despair in his wake. A chill shot down Chelsea's spine as if she had been plunged into icy waters. Felt as though she were trapped in a burning furnace, with no way to escape. A ringing noise filled her ears, drowning out thoughts of clarity. All she could do was cry, her heart shattering as Ken's retreating figure blurred in her vision. As he glanced back, an inexplicable pang twisted in Ken's chest. "I don't love Chelsea. I never did. She was just part of the game," he told himself, yet the sight of her tears churned something deep within him. Why does it hurt so much to see her cry? His expression darkened, and he shook off the thought. "Ken, please, can you answer a few questions?" Chelsea's voice quaked as she spoke through her sobs. "Did you ever love me? Did all our moments mean nothing to you?" His eyes softened momentarily, but he quickly steeled himself. "The past is the past, Chelsea. It was just a game. The person I'll be spending my life with is Helena. She's 3 months pregnant with my baby, and our wedding is set for next month." Time seemed to stop as Ken's words cut deeply, a dull ache blossoming in her chest. Chelsea felt as if the ground had fallen out from under her, bringing her world crashing down around her. With her heart bleeding, she dropped to her knees, clutching her chest as sobs racked her body. "Can you get this crazy woman out of here?" Helena shouted. 2 bodyguards stepped forward, grasping Chelsea by the elbows and dragging her toward the door. Outside Ken's villa, Chelsea continued crying, her heart a tumultuous storm of betrayal. Just then, Myra strolled up, casually sipping champagne from a glass. "Next time you'll learn not to mess with the capitalists," she said, her tone dripping with malice. Leaning in closer, she whispered into Chelsea's ear, "The reason you couldn't attend the Whitemore Foundation exchange program was my little gift to Philippa." Myra's cruel laughter echoed in Chelsea's ears as she turned to walk back into the villa. Numb with anguish, Chelsea stumbled away, feeling as if her very soul had been crushed. Inside the villa, Emily Roberts, who had witnessed the entire exchange, stormed up to Ken, her fury palpable. "Kenneth, how could you and your sister be so heartless? How could you do that to her?" she chastised, disappointment etched on her face. "I'm ashamed of both of you. I hope you won't regret this someday." Ken stood frozen as her words struck a chord. Overcome with guilt, he rushed outside, desperate to find Chelsea. The spring rain poured heavily as he slid into his car, his mind racing. The roads glistened with rainwater, reflecting the gray sky above. "Damn it, Chelsea. Please pick up your phone," he urged as he dialed again and again, only to be met with silence. Eventually, defeat washed over him and he returned home, drenched and despondent. As he stepped inside, Helena approached him, anger flaring in her eyes. "What was that fiasco earlier? Did you just go out looking for her? Remember, I'm carrying your baby. Don't even think about calling off this wedding." Soaked to the bone, Ken said nothing, feelings of regret swirling inside him as he walked past her into the darkened corridor. Meanwhile, Myra pulled out her phone, her brow furrowed with determination. "Dawson, make sure you publish that story tonight. No mistakes. You know the consequences if you mess up." Chelsea wandered aimlessly through the rain, her mind blank and her heart heavy. She had been walking for nearly 3 hours, each step laden with despair. She slumped down onto a wet patch of grass, the world around her fading. When she came to, it was morning and sunlight seeped through a small window. For a fleeting moment, panic surged through her. Had she been kidnapped again? As she regained her senses, an elderly woman entered her field of vision, carrying a wooden cup on a small plastic tray. "Ah, you're finally awake. Hope you're feeling better," the woman said with a warm smile. Chelsea blinked, momentarily startled. "Who are you and where am I?" The woman settled onto the edge of the bed. "You can call me Grandma Flora. You're in Derby. My grandson and I found you lying in the rain by the roadside and brought you here." Chelsea's heart swelled with gratitude amid the whirlwind of emotions. "Thank you for helping me," she said softly, tears prickling her eyes. "My name is Chelsea Powers. Drink this warm tonic I made from herbs and honey. It should help with your cold and fever," Grandma Flora said gently as she handed the cup to Chelsea. Back in Wolverton, news of Chelsea's ordeal had begun to spread. Rachel returned home from the gym, her phone buzzing with notifications. When she saw the headlines, her jaw dropped and shock rippled through her body. "What the hell?" she shouted, her heart racing. "Oh my goodness! Chelsea, I hope you're okay." Frantically, Rachel dialed Chelsea's number. When it finally connected, Chelsea answered. "Hello, Rach." The relief in Rachel's voice was palpable. "Chels, are you okay? Where are you?" Chelsea, unaware of the chaos surrounding her, replied softly, "Rach, I'm in Derby. Can you please come get me?" "What? What are you doing in Derby?" Rachel was taken aback. "When did you get there?" "It's a long story, Rach. I'll explain everything when you arrive," Chelsea assured her. "Wait for me, okay? Don't go anywhere." "I'll be there as quickly as I can," Rachel said before rushing to get ready. What consequences will unfold from the slander posted about Chelsea? How will she reconcile the chaos of her past with the uncertain future ahead? As she navigates through the storm, the truth will unfold, casting shadows and light on the path she must take.